My name is Glades Pearsall, and I'm 28 years old. For 6 years, I paid my sister's bills, believing it was only temporary. That word, temporary, became the excuse I used to silence my instincts every time something felt wrong. My younger sister Renee is 24 now. She's been finding herself since she turned 18. Some people take a gap year. Renee turned it into a lifestyle. It started the way these things always do, small enough to feel harmless. Sophomore year of college, her car broke down. "Can you spot me $400 just until my next paycheck?" she asked, her voice thin and shaky. I sent the money without hesitation. A month later, rent was suddenly a problem. She'd miscalculated her budget. $800. Then her laptop died right before finals week. "Glades, I'll fail if I don't get a new one." I bought her a MacBook. Family helps family, right? Every request came wrapped in urgency and promises. Every crisis was positioned as temporary. But temporary never ended. Renee's definition of an emergency was flexible. Spring break got too expensive. Emergency. A music festival she hadn't budgeted for. Emergency. Her friends were getting their nails done, and she felt left out. You guessed it, emergency. What really worked wasn't the tears. It was the guilt. "I guess I'll just skip Aunt Ella's wedding," she'd sigh dramatically. Never mind that the wedding was 3 months away. Never mind that she could have saved. Somehow, her poor planning always became my responsibility. By year 6, I wasn't helping her anymore. I was subsidizing her entire life. Rent, car payments, insurance, groceries, textbooks, streaming services, Uber rides, and those mysterious emergencies that always showed up right before a trip or shopping spree. Conservatively, I spent over $40,000 keeping Renee afloat. The worst part wasn't the money. It was her social media. While I survived on instant noodles and coffee, working 16-hour days at a consulting firm, Renee was posting Instagram stories from bottomless brunches, beach getaways, and designer boutiques. Living my best life. Blessed beyond measure. Blessed by my bank account. Consulting is brutal. You're disposable. I worked 60-hour weeks, took on clients nobody wanted, and dealt with executives who treated consultants like temporary furniture. I built my reputation one miserable project at a time. And Renee called it privilege. 8 months ago, she called again, sobbing. This time, she needed $3,200. "It's a business opportunity," she said. Some MLM scheme her friend was running. Essential oils, makeup, something interchangeable and doomed. "It's not a pyramid scheme," she insisted. "It's network marketing." That's when I said no. For the first time in 6 years, she lost her mind. I was selfish. I was controlling. I was abandoning my family. She hung up, then immediately called our parents. An hour later, my mom called me. "Your sister just needs some support right now," she said. "Can't you help her this once?" "This once." "Mom," I said quietly, "I've been helping her for 6 years." "She's still finding herself," my mom replied. That's when it hit me. They didn't want her to grow up. They wanted me to keep paying so they didn't have to deal with her. Around that time, I met Ethan at a work conference. He worked in corporate finance. Sharp, calm, impossible to guilt. After listening to my family situation for 5 minutes, he said, "So you're paying for your sister to pretend she's an influencer while you work yourself to death." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. "Your parents think that's temporary?" he asked. "Yes." Ethan shook his head. "Nothing is more permanent than temporary family help." That sentence stayed with me. That summer, I got the promotion I'd been grinding toward for years. For the first time, my work was finally paying off. Ethan suggested a small celebration. Just friends, just people who'd actually supported me. I agreed. And without knowing it, I crossed a line my sister would never forgive. Because I succeeded without her. Because I stopped rescuing her. Because I chose boundaries. And Renee doesn't react to boundaries. She punishes them. The promotion email came through on a Monday morning. Senior associate to principal. 1 jump. A $30,000 raise. A corner office. My own team. I stared at the screen for a full minute before it sank in. Years of late nights, missed holidays, being everyone's backup plan. It finally paid off. The partners announced it during the weekly meeting. I watched faces shift. Surprise, envy, forced smiles. Consulting rewards endurance, not balance. And I'd endured more than most. That night, Ethan wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "You did this. No one handed you anything." So we decided to celebrate. Not a massive party, just people who actually mattered. Friends who saw the grind, colleagues who respected the work. Ethan handled the planning. He has a gift for making things feel intentional without being flashy. We rented the back room at Mitchell's, an upscale place downtown with good food and a real bar. Not the kind of place Renee usually went unless someone else was paying. Ethan even came up with a roast and toast idea. Funny stories, earned praise, light but meaningful. Custom cocktail napkins read, "Finally made it." My best friend Caleb showed up early to help set up. Caleb doesn't talk much, but when things go sideways, he's solid. He'd watched the Renee situation unfold for years without commentary, just quiet judgment. "She coming?" he asked, adjusting the chairs. "Unfortunately," I said. He nodded, no surprise there. Renee hated Ethan from the moment she met him, not because he'd done anything to her, but because he represented everything she wasn't. Independent, successful, immune to manipulation. Worst of all, Ethan saw through her. "Your boyfriend thinks he's better than everyone," she'd said after meeting him. "He's never said a word about you," I replied. "He doesn't have to," she snapped. August 12th. Ethan looked incredible. Crisp suit, relaxed confidence. He brought a bottle of wine with a custom label. "Congratulations on earning everything." Guests filtered in around 7. Good energy, real smiles, genuine congratulations. Caleb's girlfriend made everyone laugh. A college friend flew in from out of state just for the night. Even a couple of partners stayed longer than expected. A good sign. For 2 hours, everything was perfect. Stories about late nights. Jokes about my caffeine addiction. Praise that felt earned instead of performative. For 2 hours, I forgot I had a sister. Then Renee walked in. She wasn't tipsy. She was drunk. Hair tangled, makeup smeared, wearing a skin-tight red dress that screamed, "Pay attention to me." On her arm was her current boyfriend, Dylan, a wannabe musician who smelled like weed and entitlement. Dylan made a beeline for the bar like it was his personal challenge. The first 30 minutes were tolerable. Renee sulked in the corner, whispering loudly enough for people nearby to hear, eyeing Ethan like he'd personally offended her by existing. She didn't say congratulations, didn't say hello, just stared. When I stood up to give a short thank you speech, nothing dramatic, she laughed. "Must be nice," she said, loud enough for half the room. I froze. "Must be nice," she repeated, swaying slightly, "to have everything handed to you while the rest of us struggle." The room went silent. Ethan's expression changed instantly, calm to razor sharp. I tried to redirect. "Renee, maybe—" "No," she interrupted, pointing her drink at me. "I'm tired of pretending." She turned to the room. "Miss Perfect here gets a fancy promotion and a stuck-up boyfriend acting like she earned it when Mommy and Daddy paid for everything." That's when Ethan stood up. His voice was steady. "Excuse me," he said. "Did you just say my girlfriend didn't earn her promotion?" "I said what I said." "Good," he replied. "I just wanted to be sure before responding." He turned to the room like he was delivering a presentation. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Renee, the sister who's lived off Glade's paycheck for 6 years, while Glade's worked 60-hour weeks to build her career. Dead silence. The same sister who called her selfish last month for refusing to bankroll an essential oils pyramid scheme. Renee's face went crimson. "You don't know anything about me." "Car payments?" Ethan continued calmly. "Rent money? The MacBook? The credit card?" That's when she lost it. She threw her drink. Glass shattered against the wall behind the bar. Then she grabbed a decorative vase and smashed it onto the floor. "Screw all of you," she screamed. "Screw this fake party and your arrogant boyfriend." Security was there in seconds. Caleb stepped between Renee and Ethan without saying a word. Just a wall. As she was dragged out, she pointed at me. "You'll pay for this." After 10 seconds of stunned silence, Ethan picked up his glass, took a sip, and said, "Well, that was dramatic." Nervous laughter broke out. The party recovered, somehow. But I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. Renee doesn't make threats she doesn't follow through on. The morning after the party, my phone looked like it had survived a small war. 17 missed calls. 32 texts, all from Renee. The messages followed a familiar pattern. First came the remorse. "I'm sorry. I was just hurt. I didn't mean to ruin anything." Then anger. "You humiliated me in front of everyone." Then threats. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." Then back to vulnerability. "I just miss my sister." She cycled through emotions like a slot machine, pulling the lever until she hoped something would pay out. Ethan was already up, making coffee like nothing had happened. "Sleep okay?" he asked. "Like a baby," I said. "Nothing helps me rest like watching entitlement hit consequences." I meant it, but the calm didn't last long. At 9 sharp, my parents showed up unannounced. They didn't knock. They pounded. Dad looked embarrassed. Mom looked furious. At me. "Glades," she said the moment I opened the door. "We need to talk." Ethan appeared behind me, coffee mug in hand. "Morning," he said pleasantly. Mom didn't acknowledge him. "Renee is devastated," she continued. "She feels attacked and humiliated." "She should," I replied. "She destroyed my promotion party." "She was overwhelmed," Mom snapped. "You know how sensitive she is." Sensitive. That's what we were calling public meltdowns now. Dad cleared his throat. "We think the best thing would be for you to apologize." I stared at him. "Apologize for what?" "For letting your boyfriend attack her," Mom said. Ethan set his mug down carefully. "I'm sorry," he said calmly. "What exactly did I do?" "You provoked her," Mom replied. "You knew she was emotional." "I stated facts," Ethan said. "If facts provoke her, that's not my problem." "She's family," Dad insisted. Ethan smiled, not kindly. "You're right," he said, "and I'm not, which means I don't have to enable her behavior." That's when I realized something else. They expected me to control him. I stepped aside and opened the door. "I think you should leave." "We're not done," Mom said. "Yes," I replied, "we are." After they left, I sat down at my laptop and did what I should have done years ago. I started cutting ties. First, the credit card I'd given Renee for emergencies. Canceled. The representative didn't sound surprised. "Authorized user removed," she said. "Card deactivated immediately." Second, car insurance. She was off the policy within 20 minutes. Third, every streaming account. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, HBO, Hulu, Disney. Password changes across the board. Then the automatic rent transfer. Canceled. The bank rep hesitated. "This has been active for 2 years. Very intentional," I said. Within 2 hours, Renee's entire lifestyle collapsed. My phone exploded. Texts turned into calls. Calls turned into voicemails. The last voicemail was 3 minutes of screaming. "You can't do this to me. You're ruining my life." "No, Renee. I was ending yours, living off mine." 2 days later, my parents came back. This time, they didn't pretend to be calm. "You're being unreasonable," Dad said, pushing past me into the apartment. "She depends on you." "That's the problem," I replied. Mom started crying. "We raised you better than this." I walked to the door and opened it. "Get out," I said, "and don't come back unless you're ready to apologize for enabling her for 6 years." They left loudly. Tears, accusations, muttered insults. That afternoon, Renee posted her first video, crying in her car. Caption: "When your family abandons you for telling the truth." 500 views. The next day. Story time. How my toxic sister chose her boyfriend over family. 2,000 views. Day 3. Signs your sibling is a narcissist. 5,000 views. She'd found her calling. Professional victim. Ethan watched the videos over my shoulder. She's monetizing her breakdown, he said. That's almost impressive. Most comments didn't go her way. People asked why a 24-year-old couldn't support herself, pointed out inconsistencies, called out entitlement. But some believed her, and that was enough. Then it escalated. Food deliveries we didn't order, spam mail, fake apartment listings with my phone number. My phone rang at all hours. The breaking point came when Renee somehow got Ethan's work email. She sent his boss a detailed message claiming he was involved in unethical behavior. Complete lies. HR called him in. Ethan handled it calmly, presenting evidence of harassment. HR sided with him, but we were done playing defense. We need a break, I said that night. Vacation? Ethan asked. Anywhere she can't reach us. We booked Cabo. 1 week. No cell service. No chaos. For 6 days, life was peaceful until Ethan's phone buzzed. He said slowly. You might want to see this. Renee had posted Instagram stories outside our apartment. Photos of our door, our windows, our parking space. Captions like, hiding like cowards, karma's coming. Timestamps showed multiple visits. She's stalking us, Ethan said quietly. We flew home Sunday night, and that's when we saw the damage. All 4 tires slashed, windshield cracked. A word carved into the driver's door. Eggs, dozens of them, smashed across our apartment door. Dried, rotten, intentional. Ethan pulled out his phone. This ends now. The smell hit first. Rotten egg, baked into metal and paint by heat and time. It clung to the hallway like a warning. I stood there staring at my car, my hands shaking, not from fear, but from the clarity that finally settled in my chest. This wasn't emotional. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was criminal. Ethan was already taking photos. Every angle, every scratch, every slashed tire. She didn't just snap, he said quietly. She planned this. He was right. The key marks were deep, deliberate. The word carved into the door wasn't rushed. It was careful. Angry, but methodical. The eggs weren't tossed randomly. They'd been hurled with dedication. Please tell me this building has cameras, I said. Oh, it does, came a voice behind us. The building manager had stepped out, arms crossed, expression dark. She kept a few residents awake last night, he said. They complained. I pulled the footage. We watched it together in the office. Saturday afternoon. Broad daylight. Renee. Clear as day. She showed up with supplies like she was running errands. Laughed while she keyed my car. Waved at the camera at one point. Dylan hovered nervously nearby, clearly regretting every life choice that led him there. This is one of the most deliberate vandalism cases I've ever seen, the manager said, burning the footage onto a drive. You'll want this. Monday morning, we went to the police station. The desk sergeant barely made it halfway through the video before nodding. Do you want to press charges? Yes, Ethan and I said at the same time. Vandalism, harassment, stalking, criminal damage to property. We filed for a restraining order that afternoon. My insurance company processed the claim within hours. $4,800, the adjuster said, but we'll be pursuing subrogation. Translation? They were coming for Renee. My parents called the next morning. They arrested her, my mother sobbed. Good, I replied. How can you say that? She's your sister. She's a criminal, I said calmly, and you enabled her. I hung up. Wednesday afternoon, Renee made bail. Of course she did. My parents paid it. An hour later, Dad called. This has gone too far, he said. You're right, I replied. It did. When she destroyed my property. She made a mistake. She committed multiple felonies. There was silence on the other end. Thursday morning, Renee's public defender called. She wanted to settle. Full restitution, he said, and she'll agree to stay away. How much? $2,000. I laughed. The damages alone are over $12,000, I said. Tell her no. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for Monday. We showed up early. Renee arrived with my parents. She dressed conservatively, church clothes, the costume of responsibility. It didn't help. Our lawyer laid everything out. Screenshots, videos, timelines. The judge watched the footage without blinking. When he finished, he looked at Renee. "You're 24, he said, not a child. You chose to commit crimes because you didn't like boundaries." He granted the permanent restraining order. 500 feet. No contact. No social media mentions. Then came restitution. $12,847. Renee started crying. The judge wasn't done. He extended the order to my parents. "Your continued interference constitutes harassment by proxy," he said. The gavel came down. Case closed. Outside the courthouse, my parents tried to approach us. Ethan stepped forward. "You're not allowed," he said calmly. They stopped. For the first time in my life, silence followed. The silence that followed felt unreal. No frantic calls, no guilt-soaked voicemails, no emergencies disguised as emotional collapse. For the first time since I was 22, my phone stayed quiet. Renee couldn't contact me. My parents weren't allowed to try. The legal system had finally done what I never could. Enforced boundaries without apology. Reality hit her fast. The restitution payments started at $400 a month, court-ordered and unavoidable. She couldn't afford her apartment anymore. Moved back in with my parents permanently. Dylan disappeared within weeks. Turns out loyalty fades when court fees show up. Renee got a real job. Retail. 8-hour shifts, a name tag, a schedule she couldn't ghost. According to my aunt, she threw the same tantrums at my parents she used to throw at me. Only this time, there was no one left to fix it. My parents finally got the full Renee experience, without my bank account buffering the damage. 6 months later, Ethan and I moved. New building, security desk, garage cameras, no forwarding address. Peace has a location, and we found it. Work got better too. Without the constant emotional drain, I thrived. I led my team with confidence, picked projects instead of begging for them. 3 months after the move, Ethan proposed. No chaos, no family sabotage, just us. I said yes. Meanwhile, Renee tried rebuilding her online presence. Every new account was reported for ban evasion within days. Consequences have a long memory. My parents tried reaching out through relatives. I shut that down immediately. "Respect the order," I said, "or don't contact me again." They chose silence. And honestly, so did I. Last week, my best friend Caleb ran into Renee at the mall. She asked how I was doing. He told her the truth. "She's doing great." Then he bought a game from her register and left a 1-cent tip. Some lessons are expensive. Some are humiliating. Some last forever. Mine was this: boundaries don't destroy families. Entitlement does. And choosing yourself isn't cruelty. It's survival.